Hello, my name is Alevtina Madyarova. This is Recipe for Friendship. It means that today we're going to meet new friends, bake some bread, learn about traditions, and dance as we always do. Today I invite you to meet the ahiska Turks living in Kazakhstan. In today's episode, stunning Turkish costume. If we compare these two costumes, we'll see that this one is slightly different because it has a dagger. It means that the young man is not married yet, so he wants to demonstrate himself. His strength, yes, you're right. But it is already clear he doesn't need to care. Absolutely. Interesting wedding ceremony. Incredible dancing. Fragrant homemade bread cooked in a special oven. How many loaves of bread can fit in such a large stove? 10 loaves. How much time will it take to be ready? An hour, about an hour exactly. And of course, we are going to meet amazing, sincere people who even in the 21st century have managed to preserve their traditions. As usual, we begin with a brief excursion in history. Ahiska Turks, or as they are often called, Meskhetian Turks, inhabited the southern regions of Georgia. They are known as Jibek, Javaks, Akhaltsikhe Turks, or the Caucasian Turks. Ahiska Turks live in the southern regions of Georgia until 1944. Today they live in 10 different countries. And how do Cubans arrange the table? Like a banquet or like a buffet? Mostly like a buffet. One can walk with a plate to eat or watch TV. Sadir Iyubov was born in the Almaty region and is part of the board of the organization that has special significance for Ahiska Turk. I have to go to all the 9 countries where Ahiska Turks live. And when I come to Kazakhstan on trips, I always thank God and say, thank Allah that we have 200,000 Ahiska Turks living in Kazakhstan. We live much better today than Ahiska Turks in all other countries. It is worth noting that about 500,000 representatives of this nation live all around the world, and the vast majority of them live in the south of Kazakhstan. More than 200,000 Ahiska Turks in Kazakhstan live mainly in the Shymkent region, South Kazakhstan region, Jambul region, and a large number in Almaty in the Almaty region. Exactly in the Almaty region, we meet our friends and learned about their culture, cuisine, dances, costumes, and customs of this ethnic group, whose temper reminds me of the storming Black Sea and the Caucasian mountains. Well, let's take a look at the Turkish costume. And as I understand it, there are a lot of varieties of it. What should we begin with? These are traditional costumes, which are usually worn by girls on the eve of the wedding on a beautiful traditional ritual, which is called Kina Gecesi, or Henna Night. A holiday known as the Night of Henna is found not only in the Turkish culture, but in many Crimean cultures, for example, Crimean Tatars. A happy evening of preparation of the bride for the wedding, Meskhetians, is spent in a very beautiful way. The bride is wearing red or a maroon dress and a headscarf. All her female friends and relatives from her husband's side come to take part in this traditional ritual. The groom also participates in this ritual in some regions of Turkey and the Caucasus. This costume is of the Ottoman era. Probably I will be right if I say that this is the most traditional variant of the Turkish costume. If you think of a Turkish male suit, you'd probably picture exactly this one. That's right. Why? Because when we're talking about a Turkish male costume, I always imagine a fez, right? A piece of muslin should be hanged here on the right side. Bright colors and rich decoration are common for the Caucasus and Oriental people. Their favorite colors are crimson, pink, and gold. Well, it is not necessary for a bride to wear exactly these clothes. Usually your friends are dressed like this because they have to sing and commit the long ritual. This outfit is also my favorite. It belongs to the young married woman. Influence of Caucasus can be seen in the dress of a married lady, whose head is decorated with a special cap and neck covered with a gracefully tied scarf, kentet. It's no wonder that ahiska are called Caucasian Turks. A men's suit demonstrates the influence of the Caucasus on the Turkish festive outfit, which is still worn on major holidays. And because our people are from the Caucasus, more precisely from the Georgian SSR, of course, we have taken over this Caucasian style, and it already can be seen in our outfits. If we compare these two countries, we'll see that this one is slightly different, because it has a dagger. It means that the young man is not married yet, so he wants to demonstrate himself, his strength. Yes, you're right. But it is already clear he doesn't need to care. Absolutely. But even more Caucasian fire and charm of mountain peaks can be seen in the dances of ahiska Turks. As usual in the majority of Caucasian dances, despite similarities, each of them has its own specific features. The leading party belongs to a man, actually as in the family structure. Ahiska Turks still live in large families, and respect for elders is their priority, as well as their families and helping each other. And if we often consider that Ahiskas live compactly, there's no wonder that often neighbors become relatives and relatives become neighbors. And everyone is always ready to help, especially on big family holidays. Help is needed even in baking the bread because they need a lot of it. Now I want to introduce you to these wonderful women. It is Hale Hanim and is Tarlan Hanim, and they will be our guides to the world of Turkish cuisine. And speaking of Turkish cuisine, no matter how fragrant, delicious, or familiar it is to all of you, it also follows the common rule: bread makes a good dinner. Therefore, we begin with the bread. Today is a special occasion for making dough. But here in this case, the groom waits for the bride and he is preparing this bread. Does it mean that it is a festive bread? Yes, now it is festive bread and it is being prepared. Groom's family is waiting for the bride. However, Turkish women bake bread for the whole family on weekends too, and they bake a lot of bread as it was before. They almost don't buy bread. What is the difference? You know, it requires a very careful attitude, especially when you take it out of the stove. You'll understand soon. It requires your attention. You need to be very careful because you need the bread to raise 30 to 40 centimeters high. Can you imagine? This bread is special. To achieve such taste, you need to have special skills, which is handed down from grandmother to mother, and from mother to daughter. And as it always happens, you won't find that special ingredient in the dough because the composition is simple yet amazing. We need to prepare everything. Yeast, salt, flour, there's nothing special. Everything is in attitude. So the main thing is in the hands, huh? Hands, experience, and practice. Do all women of this village bake such bread? Probably the secret ingredient is caring hands and of course a great experience. Experience, it is only experience and practice. This bread can be made only with experience and practice, nothing more. The dough for fisali is almost the same with the dough for furun akmiak. However, this bread is made of puff pastry. Fisali, familiar word. Dough is simple, yeast, water, and flour. Make the dough, it should rest for half an hour, and then we start baking it. Now yes, now you should apply some oil. Don't forget the edges, doesn't it have to be thinner? Yes, you could do it, but you'll need to pull it. There's nothing wrong, just pull it. You know, this process is quite interesting too. Quite simple technique, but it allows the dough to become so puffy and rooty. Not even bread, but almost a cake. So now, cut it into 4 parts. 1. Just like that, you see? I said before that edges were thick, but you pulled them during the process. To such teachers, you know, you can learn any science. And of course, we don't bake it in a usual oven. We need a special stove. And Hale Hanim owns it. The stove is heated with thin twigs that are specially collected in advance. No gas or coal, just like in the old days. Mostly apple trees. During the pruning, people who own such stoves collect the twigs, gather them in sheaves. Exactly such twigs give you the heat and warmth. Do we need exactly thin twigs like these? Yes, we need exactly such thin twigs. Because if you use thick branches, you probably will overheat the stove and it will burn the bread. There are many assistants here, but Hale Hanim prefers to do all important things by herself, and it looks like it gives her sincere joy. Once I put bread and potatoes with pumpkin in the pot into the stove at the same time. My grandson asked me, what was that? He couldn't understand. I said that there's everything was cooking in the stove. You can cook everything in that stove. How many loaves of bread can you fit in such a large stove? 10 loaves. How much time will it take to be ready? An hour. About an hour? An hour exactly. Meanwhile, everyone in the house is preparing to meet the guest. According to the amount of bread that is being baked, you usually have a lot of guests, huh? Yes, a lot of people. Do Turks have large families? Yes, very large families. And how many pans are there in your house? From 10 to 12 in each house. Because we usually use all of them at the same time. House chores are also distributed and coordinated. While the men are busy with organizing, transporting, and shopping, women cook the meal. Well, it seems to me like even there are so many people, each of them has their own function. Yes, each one has their own duty. You know, when we're having such big holidays as a wedding or any holiday, and there are a lot of people, neighbors and cousins, all of them. There are a lot of helping hands, and sometimes you even can't find a task for everyone. You know, they are one of such ethnicities who manage to preserve tradition of making big holidays at home. Our women can do it. They can do everything. The occasion for having so many guests is special, meeting of the bride. According to a tradition, before a young woman will cross the threshold of her new house, she has to pass the test and establish her rules. The test is quite simple. She has to break a plate with her heel from the first time. Moreover, the plate is usually placed on a cauldron, which symbolizes the house and wealth. Well, the plate was successfully broken and the young woman came into the house. Her fingers dipped in honey and she smears the lintel with this honey. According to the ancient custom, the groom demonstrates a false reluctance to marriage, and his friends playfully kick him out of their company, pushing him into his new house. Of course, everyone is dancing and competing in their dancing skills during the process. The bride, or it would be correct to say the young wife, meets her new family. According to traditions, she has to wipe her imaginary tears because she has said the last goodbye to her parents' house. And also she has to bow to each of her new relatives. There is a joke among Eastern people that the more diligently a bride would bow, the more gifts she would get on her wedding day. Everything in the East goes according to all the rules and conventions. When East is mixed with the Caucasus, conventions and rules double. Soon our bride will become a true hostess in this house, but now I invite you to our table. Fluffy bread is hot and ready, and according to the tradition, the first loaf goes to the most important table, with the elders of the community. The host tears the bread into pieces and all guests make good wishes to the newlyweds. The first dish, with pilaf, is also served on the elders' table. And here's the most delicious part of the dish, crispy parts. It is my favorite, the tastiest. Men and women sit at different tables during the meal. When time comes to dancing, all of them dance together. The bread is very nice. It looks wonderful, especially its ruddy sides, beckoning aroma and the taste. It seems that this is the most delicious bread in the world. Definitely, you should come here to try it.